Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for March 3rd, 2022 at the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch. Today was cold and windy. It was in the low 20s and winds about 20 miles per hour. So here's your faithful Hawk Watcher bundled up out at the end of the boardwalk. Overall, it was kind of a beautiful day with a mix of sun and clouds. We just take a few looks at the scenery. So if it hadn't been for the strong winds, it really wouldn't have been too bad, even with the cold temperatures. On days like this, I spend a lot of time hawk watching from the car because being up on the platform would just be miserable, and using the platform to block the wind is okay, but really my view from the car allows me to probably spot more birds by being in the car and being sheltered from the wind than it would be if I was out in the elements. And a nice lunch of chicken noodle soup helped as well. The big announcement of the day is that the Porta-potty was delivered. You can see it over here next to the dumpster. And actually, it was supposed to be delivered yesterday, but yesterday the town came and they removed all this fencing from around the dumpster. And then they came this morning and built a new fence. So normally they would put the Porta-potty on the other side of the fence, but there's a lot of snow there right now, so they kind of wedged it in between the fence and the dumpster, which is probably a good idea because we have a lot of problems with the Porta-potty blowing over or blowing away in strong winds. And on Sunday, we're going to have very strong winds. So hopefully with the Porta-potty there, it won't blow away. Although I think when the truck comes and picks up the dumpster, I don't think I want to be in the Porta-potty when that happens. All right, let's take a look at some birds. Right after I arrived around 8 a.m., well, the first thing I did was have to shovel out my parking spot. But after that, I had a nice look at two different bald eagles. And I chose this photo because this shows something I was talking about the other day, which is that the juvenile feathers on bald eagles are longer than the feathers that replace them. So on second and third year immature bald eagles, you see these longer retained feathers that just help you be able to age them and distinguish them from juveniles, which have an even trailing edge to the wing. The other bald eagle was an older immature, getting very close to its full adult plumage. There were very few birds in the park at all today, but the northern shrike was hanging tough, even perching up on top of a tree in the strong winds. Here's another one of those gulls like we saw yesterday, where I was told that this is a herring gull with sort of a alternate wingtip pattern. And we see a similar bird on the left, and then the bird on the right to me looks like an Iceland Gull. Looks like the wingtip's much paler than the bird on the left. And here's another gull that I picked out of a flock that was high overhead. And at first I thought it might be a glaucous gull, but later when I was looking at the photos, it looks smaller than the surrounding herring gulls. So I think this is another Iceland Gull and immature. Here we have a Department of Homeland Security helicopter that was patrolling the shoreline. So after a few hours, I finally noticed a couple of turkey vultures out in the distance in front, and I was watching them, and as the first one came across the bay and was over the marsh, the light morph rough-legged hawk that's been hanging around started going after the turkey vulture, which was pretty funny. Here you can see it chasing it some more. And then they actually almost locked talons, it looked like. So that rough leg was really acting territorial. Here we have the turkey vulture coming straight at me, and it gives us a chance to see that V shape to the wings, called a dihedral. And of course, on a windy day like today, turkey vultures are very unsteady and rock back and forth constantly. And on these windy days, birds tend to fly lower, so the turkey vulture ended up coming extremely close. So I was able to get some great photos as it passed overhead. There are some pine trees in the park that we're always joking about finding owls in, although we never do. But as I was walking past those trees today, I looked down and there were some pellets on the ground. So here's a photo of one of the pellets, and you can see there's a nice skull. Between about 2 and 3 in the afternoon, a bunch of gulls started returning to the bay. And I really wanted to focus on them to try to get an idea of the ratio of herring gulls versus ring-billed gulls. This photo, of course, being a herring gull. You can see the red dot on the bill. And what I discovered was that most of the gulls that were coming in were herring gulls. There were a few ring-billed gulls, but the vast majority were herring gulls. Here we have an immature herring gull. Here's a photo that I really like. It's a nice comparison between a herring gull and a ring-billed gull. So the much larger herring gull is on top, and the smaller ring-billed gull is on the bottom. So you would think with this much of a size difference, they would be easy to tell apart, but when you just have a single gull from a distance, they can still be very difficult to distinguish. And we'll end with one last ring-billed gull that's missing a big chunk out of its wing. And if we take a look at the eBird checklist, we see only 28 species today. The ducks were really distant and hard to identify with the wind, and there just wasn't a lot of variety around the park because of the strong winds. And if we take a look at hawk count, we see that the only migrating raptors of the day were 3 turkey vultures. And if we take a look at the forecast coming up, for tomorrow, we're looking at partly cloudy, really cold in the morning, but then going up above freezing. Winds are a good direction, southwest, shifting to west-southwest at 15 to 30 kilometers per hour. So this is looking like the best day of the next couple days. So I would expect that we see some signs of migration tomorrow with both raptors and other species of birds. For Saturday, it's going to be overcast, fairly warm, high of 7 Celsius, but the winds are going to be east-southeast, shifting east-northeast, and fairly strong. That wind direction is not very good for us. I wouldn't expect much to be migrating, if anything at all. And Sunday is a day to keep an eye on that could be interesting. It's going to be windy, with showers early, then mainly sunny skies in the afternoon. High 17 degrees Celsius, which is in the 60s for Fahrenheit. Winds southwest at 40 to 55 kilometers per hour. So it's a good wind direction. In fact, it's our best wind direction. But 40 to 55 kilometers per hour is probably too strong. Ideally, we'd want something more like 20 to 25 would be about as strong as we want to go. Once you get beyond that, it might be too strong, and either the birds won't be migrating, or if they are migrating, they get pushed out near the lake. Now, early in the season like this, when there's not much migrating, we'll have to see if these winds bring the first big push of turkey vultures, or if they're too strong and the raptors are all hunkered down. So we'll have to see how the forecast changes over the next few days. If those winds end up being not quite that strong, then it could be a really good day. And I think it's going to be an interesting day no matter what. You know, we're into spring migration now, and you get these strong southerly winds. You never know what's going to get blown off course. So Sunday is definitely a day to keep an eye on, but I would be hesitant about forecasting that it's going to be a spectacular day for hawks. And certainly with winds that strong, it's going to be difficult viewing. We can stand beside the platform and use it to block the wind, but still you're going to get battered around. Difficult viewing conditions. So looks like tomorrow will be a better day, but Sunday could be really interesting. Should be fun no matter what. All right, that's it for today. Hope to see you out at the platform soon. This is David Brown. Thanks for watching. Well, one of the best things about the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch is that on days like this, you can hawk watch from the car. It's in the low 20s with about 20 mile an hour northwest winds. So I'd much rather be in the car than up on the platform on a day like this. And thankfully, my car has a nice sunroof, so I can just recline the seat back and I can see out the windows in all directions. So it actually, it's not like I'm completely slacking off from my job. I think I'm actually more effective on days like this in the car than I would be up on the platform. So I'll just hang out here with Mr. Turkey Vulture and see what we can see today. I was looking underneath some trees and found an owl pellet on the ground. I'm guessing it's from an owl and not from the Shrike. These pellets look pretty big. You can see some skulls in there.